Hi, today we're going to talk about a topic that I'm very interested in, and that is user insights. I think on the internet and in business and commerce, this word insight has become very somewhat of a hype word, but I also think that although it is a hype word, it's something that we should all strive for. So my name is Ken, and this is Mastering UX. So to cover this matter of user insights, I wanted to take you first to a definition on Wikipedia, which is, of course, it means it was crowdsource approved. But there's a lot of different definitions, and I do think that there's two basic ingredients to these definitions. So this first definition is a customer insight can be more precisely defined as a non-obvious understanding about your customers, which, if acted upon, has the potential to change their behavior for mutual benefit. So customer insights, user insights, this word insights is something that's used for marketers, and it's also used by scientists, and it's also used by user experience professionals. But I think what you'll find is that there's usually two different kinds of ingredients in a definition, and one is that it has a view or a perspective or something that is not commonly seen. It's differentiated. It's something that could be deeper. It's something that's not so apparent. And the second ingredient is there something of benefit. So that matter of benefit is something that usually is mutually beneficial. It's beneficial to the company, but it's also something of benefit to the user. I want to give you an example of Planet Fitness. I wasn't part of any of their research or anything like that. But when I look at their marketing and I look at the angle that they run their business, I can see that they have some kind of special customer insight. They have 10.5 million customers. They've grown their business. And of course, as you know, Health Club is very, very competitive. But what they did is they, you can see in their branding that they celebrate this matter of it's a no judgment zone. And so they've really found and they've really embraced this idea that there's a large proportion of people who really want to work out, but they're intimidated to go to a traditional gym. And by seeing that kind of insight, seeing that there is this large group of customers that have this kind of sentiment and would be willing to go to the gym, they were able to start a very successful business. I can't tell you how their financials are doing or anything like that, but 10.5 million customers is pretty impressive to consider that their main differentiator is that they're a no judgment, that they're a no judgment zone. It's okay, and they've developed a culture, and a lot of their offering is really to promote and to kind of set up rules that this is not the kind of gym that you really want to be taking off your shirt, screaming, yelling because you've lifted 500 pounds. Although I don't think they're going to kick you out if you lift 500 pounds, but they're trying to set up an atmosphere where this kind of demographic feels very demographic and user profile feels very comfortable. So the next point is I'd like to take you to this matter of, a user insight is something that is not easy to find because it's not apparent. It's something that you need to dig deeper, and that means it's going to take extra work. The other part is it can be a lot of pressure to find something that's going to be a benefit to the customer and to the business. So no pressure. You just need to find something that's going to grow someone's business and be something that nobody else sees. Well, I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how you can dig out some user insights. And I believe that you're probably involved in doing user research, talking to customers. And so when you're doing your user research, what I recommend is start off by doing some preliminary research. I know a lot of times you may feel before you go into interviews you don't know anything, and that's the reason why you're going in to learn. But there's always some preliminary research you can do. You can talk to customer support. You can look at web analytics. Sometimes I find it very useful to look at the customers and to look through the customer support, because that gives me some clues on some things that are either pain points, things that, and of course, these are not things to take to the bank, if you would. But these are things that might give you some clues when they're coming up in the interviews you're able to double click on. So the other part about doing this preliminary research is you're going to want to see if you see any kind of symptoms of a problem. And then you're going to also want to see that you're going to want to see if you can build some kind of hypothesis. That hypothesis, of course, you're willing to be proven wrong, but if you can find something with some potential point of view going into an interview, you're going to be a lot more prepared to ask the right questions and to dig a little bit deeper. The next thing is when you do your interviews, of course, you're going to want to be a good listener. One of the advantages of doing interviews is that 95% of the time, if you ask the customer, they will let you record the interview. And because you can record the interview, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're able to divide up focusing on facilitating the interview in the best possible way, making sure that the interview is running in the right direction, that you're probing in the right direction, that you're giving feedback, that if they're giving you the kind of feedback that you're looking for, thank them for that. Of course, you want to thank them in a way that doesn't bias the interview, but you want to let them know that's the kind of feedback that you want to give. When they give both honest feedback, that's maybe on the good side and on the negative side, you can say thank you for that feedback. That's very useful. The next thing is you're going to want to make sure that they're very comfortable, set it up so that they fully realize that we want their honest feedback. And then during the interview, you're going to want to show them that you're listening and that it's very valuable to you and it's very interesting to you. The reason why I bring up these points is sometimes I see interviewers take a very objective approach, and by being so scientific, by asking such short questions, by not giving any feedback that the interviewee is giving you the right kind of feedback. It's a little bit dry. The person doesn't feel so open, and so you want to make sure you realize that they're human beings. You're a human being, and that they're comfortable. And at the same time, you're trying to balance this with not trying to be too setting up a bias that you're kind of rewarding them for telling you nice things. Okay. The next thing I would like to talk to you about is between interviews, digest those interviews with a partner. Of course, if you have the luxury of having a partner, sometimes that partner is a fellow UX practitioner, but that partner could also be someone that's on the product team, a product owner, a business analyst. And the thing that you want to realize is that you only have one perspective, and you're also full of biases. We all have our biases, and we all are limited in what we can hear. And when somebody's talking, you have to realize that there's multiple layers that you can listen at, and sometimes we ourselves realize that we're overlaying some kind of perspective on top of it. But by having some kind of digestion and validating what you're seeing and also challenging what you're seeing, you're able to come with a perspective on the next interviews and have the confidence that you're heading in the right direction. I wanted to give you one example. One time I was working on a people finder project, something like LinkedIn, but this was for a company, and we were having conversations between the interviews, and one of the things that we noticed was that there were some areas where you could tell that they were a little bit nervous to talk about. There was something there, but we couldn't put our finger on it. But by being able to talk about it, we were able to realize that the employees felt relationships were something that were very valuable. It was part of their self-worth. It was part of their value within the company. And they also felt that they wanted to keep these somewhat close to their chest. So whether this is right or whether this is wrong, this gives you a perspective. When we create a People Finder application, we have to go in realizing that that the employees don't want their relationships to be broadcasted to everybody. So by spending the time to talk to your customers, but also to really spend some time thinking about why that there is some kind of fear or trepidation or hesitation about certain kinds of features, you're able to see that there's a certain motivation there, and that's able to actually reduce risk in the project. The next point is a matter of synthesis and an analysis. I showed in my last interview that there's a double diamond that's diverging and converging. Diverging to generate more insights, more perspectives, more views, but also converging, which is to really analyze, to synthesize, to put together things in a relationship. There's a lot of different kinds of activities you can get into, and I would just say anytime that you're playing with data, you're playing with little quotes by putting them as, it could be as a sticky, you could be generating personas. Personas is the action of trying to group clusters of behaviors, or other attributes about specific user types. Concept mapping, which is just to kind of draw different kind of relationships, seeing that there's connections between different things. Doing a root cause analysis, which is you see that there's some kind of symptoms that people don't want to do something, going deeper, figuring out why. And also sometimes seeing that there's many different kinds of symptoms that all trace back to the same root. This is something that can really help you out. Two programs I want to run by you, and that is Meister and Xmind. I think these are underappreciated applications. They're mind mapping tools, and essentially they build out sitemaps. They build out kind of trees that branch out wider and wider. But the thing that I really like about them is they can go infinitely deep. They're scalable because you can kind of collapse them down and just focus in on one branch of the tree. And then you're also able to shift these things around, drag and drop them, shift over a whole branch onto another branch. And so what I'll do is just spend a lot of time considering, is there something deeper I could put? Is there some relationship between all these different quotations that I heard? So I'll map out all the quotations that I heard and then begin to reorganize them and then reorganize them. So those are the points I just want to give you on how you might get an insight. Again, user insights are very powerful. We all have data. We all have facts. There's a lot of things that are apparent. There's a challenge in validating whether that data is right and wrong. But then there's another challenge, which is to go deeper, to find new relationships, to look at a problem in a different way. And that gives you the way to come up with something that really can shape your product and also help avoid risk on the project that you're working on. So thank you for sticking with me, and I hope you stay with me on the next episode.